Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Big Brace channel. My name is Amir. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. In this video, I will show you how to create a maze in Node.js. Actually, I've received this question from MP if I'm pronouncing that correctly, asked if I would show how to create a maze in Node.js or C language. So today I'm going to show you how to create a simple maze. It's going actually to be a randomized maze. So that's going to be a maze with borders. Every time you run your program, you will get a different shape for that maze. Obviously, the borders are going to remain the same, but the path itself is going to be different every time. And that's going to show you from point A to point B, where A, let's put, for example, a mouse, and B is going to be the cheese, where you want to just lead the mouse through the maze to arrive to the cheese. Yeah, that's simply it. We're not going to animate anything. We're simply going to console log that as an ASCII representation. Yeah, without further ado, let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to open a file called maze.js. And the first thing in that file I want to do is I want to create a function. Let's call it maze or random maze, random maze. And that's going to be the only function in that program. This, by the way, could be a very good question in a JavaScript interview, where the interviewer will ask you if you can create a random maze using, Node.js, JavaScript code. Now, the first thing in my function I want to do is to create an array, a 2D array filled with the hash signs. I'm going to just make the whole maze the borders or the walls, and the path itself is going to be with those hash signs. So that's going to be the maze itself, and I want to take the array module and I want to access a method called from. Now from is a function that takes as first argument an iterable object. The iterable object, I'm going to set inside it the length to the height. So that's going to be the first argument, an object in curly braces, where I want to set the length to the height. Right, let me just do like that. All right. The second argument in that from method is just an anonymous function or a mapping function. This mapping function actually is going to just take the array and fill its width with those hash signs. That's it. So that's an anonymous function that's taking the array with the width and filling it with those hash signs. And that's basically it. This is our maze. Next, I want to loop through each cell in the maze, right? Except the border cells. So that's going to be the width and the height -1. Let's go ahead and see that. So I'm going to check out the height first, the y-axis. So I'm going to say for let y is equal to 1 as long as the y is less than the height -1, right? Because we are excluding the borders or the walls. Go ahead and increment the y by 1. That's going to be y++, which means y equal to 1 + 1. Also, let's do the same thing for the x-axis. So for let x equal to 1, as long as the x is less than the height -1, go ahead and increment the x by 1. Then inside that curly braces, after the 2 checking for the y and x axis, I want to randomly set the cell to either hash sign or just empty string. The hash sign, of course, is going to be the path. The empty string is going to be, or the hash sign is going to be the border of the path, right? And the empty string is going to be the path itself, the space where the mouse wants to go through and go to the cheese eventually. Now I want to take the maze sub y sub x, right? So that's going to be the maze taking in consideration the height and the width, both. And we are going to assign to that maze sub y sub x the math module, because we want to randomize every time we run the program a different shape of the maze. In order to do that, I want to just give a 30% chance of being hash signs. You can increase or decrease if you want the density of those hash signs inside the maze. So that's going to be the math module dot the random function. Of course, that's very important. So I want to check if the math.random more than 0.7%. If that's the case, this is ternary operation. If else statement on one line, right? So if that's more than 0.7%, I'm going to just give it a hash sign. You can do this, you can do that, you can do exclamation mark. You know, you're free to do whatever you want. Yeah, so if math.random is more than 70%, I'm going to print those hash signs. Otherwise, I'm going to give an empty space in the maze. And that's basically it. Next, I want to set the start point. So we'll need the start point and the end point. The start point, that's going to be on the top left corner of the maze, and the point B, that's going to be point A where the mouse is, and the point B, that's going to be at the bottom right corner of the maze. So for the mouse first, that's going to take the maze, and we want the width and the height, so that's going to be 1 and 1, and that's going to be assigned to a character, right? And this is going to be our mouse also, so that's going to be point A, right? Point A, top left corner of the maze, and point B, bottom right corner of the maze. So I'm going to take the maze, and that's going to be the height -2 and the width -2. Sub height -2 and width -2. And finally, do not just forget to return everything. So we will return the maze, and we're going to map that. So I want to convert this 2D array into a string. So I'm going to join each row into a single string, and then I'm going to join all the rows together with new line characters. So actually what will happen when you will do console.log is that everything is going to be attached together as one block, right? It's not going to, otherwise you will need to do console log for each line. Right? We don't need that. We want to combine or join everything together as one string and print them all together. And then finally, of course, don't forget to console.log that. So our function, I forgot what was it called? Random maze, okay? So we'll need to console.log the random maze. And that random maze, by the way, takes width and height. So width and height, I forgot to pass those as the main parameters. So if you will just delete the whole thing, and if you will do like that, and if you will take random maze function, that's going to give you already the arguments to be substituted with. You can set the width and height as you want. I'm going to just make 20, and the height I'm going to put 10. And that's basically it, guys. This is our function. Let's go ahead and try that. Hopefully we'll not find any errors. Node maze.js, and there we go. But that looks odd. Let's run that again. Okay, it's being randomized, but it's not quite what I was expecting. I see here that should be assigned to a character as well. That's going to be the cheese, right? Forgot that. And also I see something wrong here. The Y is the height, correct, but the X is the width. So yeah, I think we're ready to test that function or that little program. So let's do node maze.js, and there we go, guys. So you see here you have your maze and you have your cheese down here in the bottom. right? And every time you will run your program, you'll find a different, design for the maze. So for example, if you will change that percentage, you will get different design. Let me show you. If you will change that, for instance, here, right? If you will do 5, for example, you see that the amount of those hashes increased. The more you will decrease the number, the more you're giving more chance for the hashes, right? So if you'll do 0.3, that's going to be a lot of hashes. It's going to be very dense. Look. And the more the number actually, so if we'll put 0.8, the more space that we'll have. Right? And that's just by trial and error. You can do what you want. You can even develop this to be a game where you can move that piece of, where you can move the mouse to go to that piece of cheese, If you have kids, guys, this is the kind of programming that you want to show to your kids. Programming is the future, and making your kids love programming through those things. And that's exactly what my parents did with me. My father actually encouraged me to write, those animation programs in BASIC on Atari 800 XL. Kids need to know that programming is the future, the zeros and ones. Now you see everything is automated, terminals everywhere, everything is computerized, and the more we pass in years, the less interaction with human beings. So yeah, you can consider that. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And if you have any questions or anything related to ASCII animation or ASCII art in general, please let me know in the comments. We can do this together in JavaScript, in Python, in C, in Rust, in Haskell, as you want. Programming is just a vehicle. Syntax is just a vehicle. What's most important is the logic behind the syntax. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video.